Welcome to the Chapter 1 lab for Introducing Red Hat Ansible Automation. In this lab, we're going to ensure that you know how to access your GitLab instance via the web console and inspect your repositories. Make sure you can clone those repositories into Visual Studio Code so you can perform work. We'll make some updates to an Ansible playbook and then commit and push those changes back to your remote Git repository. Make sure you're connected to your workstation machine and have opened up and logged into your GitLab instance and opened up Visual Studio Code. Here I am in my GitLab instance and I'm showing all of my various repositories available from the student user. Once you're signed in, you should see the same. I'm going to go ahead and select the architecture repository. If you need to, you can click Advanced and proceed to GitLab, which will then show you the contents of this repository. You can see this message from our previous exercise that said updated site service to spooler. This is the commit message I supplied when I completed the previous guided exercise. Let's click the review.yml to inspect the contents of this file. As you can see, it's a single playbook comprised of two tasks, one that installs the service web server and one that starts the service W3 SVC. We'll go back now to Visual Studio Code where you can see we still have our site.yml open. I'm going to go ahead and close that for this purposes. And I'm going to go back to my file view by clicking the Explorer icon at the top. Here I'm going to open that review.yml that we just saw in the repository. I'm going to open it here. If you've not already cloned this repository to your local machine, you can find the instructions to do so in the lab solutions for step 2. Now that I've opened up the review.yml, we're going to start making the edits as prescribed in the lab solutions. On the host file where it says change me, we're going to change that to win1.example.com. Where it says in the first task to install service, we're going to replace install service with IIS web server is installed. For the second task where it says start service, we're going to change that to say W3 SVC. We're going to change it to say IIS web server is started. Okay, we'll save our changes. Perfect. Notice the icon has been indicated that we have one file with a change in our source control tab. Now that we've made those edits, we're on to step 4. We'll add our changes to the Git index and commit our changes using a message that it explicitly states is use more descriptive task names and target the correct hosts, which clearly explains the changes we made here. We'll move over to the source control tab. We have our file here, the review.yml. If it's truncated as it is in my case, you can hover it to see the full path and file name. The M here shows that it is a modified file, so we'll click the plus button here, and we'll supply the message we were asked to supply, which is use more descriptive task names and target the correct host. Well, that's 9 characters over our 50, so we'll just say and target host. Little adaptation on our part. We'll hit the check box to commit these changes with that message, and away they go. Now you notice that we have one item that's available for us to sync. So we'll go ahead and push those changes back to the master branch by clicking that sync icon. Now we'll go back to our GitLab instance here. If we give this a refresh, we should be able to see all those changes we just made here, here, and here. And if I actually just go back to the architecture repository to look at the files, I should see this use more descriptive task names and target host commit message that I supplied less than a minute ago. That concludes this lab. Please stay tuned and I'll see you in the next video.